I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes,
I
resolution
have
passes.
a question. So we did the consent calendar. Item 682. We haven't got that far yet, have we? I'm confused.
Yeah, we just
Yes.
accepted the item 6A1 through 4.
I didn't hear that. Okay, I need to go back.
Is it a comment or?
No, there's a problem.
Okay,
Okay. It's item number 70, it's a check registry, 76498.
okay, can you please tell me, is it 6A1 or which, is it A2?
It's check registry. I said A2.
No, which item on the consent calendar? So it's A2?
Yeah, it's 682.
Okay, so on page 9, starts, so, okay, so which item, I'm sorry?
Okay, item number, check registry number, it's 76498. I just noticed that it says the executive committee approved a sponsorship without the board approving it. Or was there a prior board meeting that this was brought to our attention so the full board could approve this?
This was approved by the General Manager under the General Manager's authority under consultation with the executive committee.
Okay, you don't have that authority to do that, by the way, when it comes to sponsorships. That's been approved by the board.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
Well, yeah, it's been going on for 32 years since I've been here. Okay, so this should have been brought to the committee. And it's just, okay, so here's the thing. Yesterday, the finance committee went over all the dues and things like that. This should have been in there because it's kind of misleading that now you're going to be asking for also Board of Trade dues on top of the sponsorship.
This is a special this is a special affair to sponsor business people to go to Sacramento on a bus trip with legislators. And we had 2 members from AVEK that participated. Has it happened yet?
No?
No.
Okay, that
So
are
you're-
participating.
Okay, so we do not, this agency, this needs to be removed from the calendar. And I'm sorry to bring it up in this form of discussion, but it's completely unethical. Because,
Why is it
being
unethical?
unethical? Because same thing with Gavia, the board, the general manager does not have the authority to sponsor Gavia, does not have the authority to sponsor the Chamber of Commerce's. You have to go through the finance committee and then through the full board.
But that's, I wouldn't categorize that as being unethical.
It is
Maybe
unethical.
it's out of procedure.
Listen,
in
okay,
your
explain to
opinion.
me the difference. I just want an explanation, what's the difference between this and the sponsorship of Gavia? Or the bags, when it goes to
Because
the public
it would be
relations?
unethical if it was unrelated to our
It is.
our business.
It's not in our budget. We did not budget bus trips on anybody's behalf. This agency's never done it.
Well, can we discuss it as a board tonight and decide whether or not to approve it?
I haven't seen what it is. I'd like to see all the documentation and
Good
everything.
question.
Okay, so I'll have to table it to the next meeting. Is this let me ask you a question. Is this an emergency that we have to do this?
Well, the trip is the 6th and 7th of May, I believe. 6th and 7th of May was the trip.
So anybody that comes out in the Antelope Valley, in our jurisdiction boundaries, comes for a sponsorship, you can take it upon yourself to go ahead and approve it, and then talk to 2 members of the executive committee without talking to the full board?
Well, it's, I talked with the executive committee. I indicated that I thought I had the authority to approve the $3,500 because it wasn't a membership. It was a sponsorship at an expense. And if it's the board direction not to do that anymore, I'll not do that anymore. I'll bring all these minors before.
You made a comment. It just says it was a sponsorship. Name me one sponsorship since you've been at this agency, that was not approved by the board ahead of time?
I can't think of any off the top.
I appreciate that. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing as a board of directors. So I'd like to table this to the next meeting, and I'd like to see what the specifics are, what this is entailed, and why we're doing, and I'd like to know why we're doing it.
Well,
Can you tell us now? I mean,
I
it's not that
can,
complicated.
the problem is our next meeting isn't until after the event has occurred. This check has already been written and provided to, and that's what the check registry is about. So if there's, you know, if you have a problem, it's a problem with me, and I apologize for that. But I thought that I had the ability to be able to do that with consultation from the executive committee.
On sponsorships.
On this particular event, because there was a need to move there was a need, we got a very short window of opportunity to approve it and provide that, the sponsorship for the event. And so that's how it was done, because the event's actually the May 6th and 7th, which is just a couple weeks away, where there would be 2 people taking the legislative vote to Sacramento. And so that's, for lack of a better explanation, I was trying to accomplish moving that forward within the time frames that were required. And in the future, if the board directs me to not do that, I will deal with any sponsorships and just indicate that we will be able to do it in sufficient time.
Well, first of all, I mean, yes, the board, I mean, you just said it. Since you've been here at the agency, you never have approved a sponsorship without the board's approval. So you already said that, number one. Okay, and I agree with that. Okay, because we've never had any managers since 1986 that would approve a sponsorship without the approval of the board. First, it goes to the finance committee. Second thing that I have a problem with this is the executive committee. Okay, there's only 2 people on that committee. It's not even an ad hoc committee. We have 3 members on that to make a decision. So it's basically the both of you. It's you and the ad hoc committee that made this decision, and basically gone against the principles of what we do with any type of sponsorship or membership. They have to go in front of the board to make a decision if it's reasonable and sensible for the betterment of the taxpayers of the Antelope Valley. That's what it comes down to.
Well, Frank, if it's any consolation, this item was presented to the Finance Committee. Unfortunately, because you were participating remotely, you didn't have a copy.
That's right, because the incompetency of not putting it on the screen. I asked this board when it on the screen.
You
I've
didn't have a copy of this?
asked it. Yeah, the incompetency. Yeah, I've asked for months, and you can check all the records that I've asked how many times to post stuff on the screen so we can read it while we're doing a meeting. And I said, I don't have this. Okay, so yes, that's the incompetency. I've asked for it, and nobody wanted to put it up yesterday, so I couldn't line item these things, and I would have torn that out right off the bat. So just memberships and sponsorships have to go in front of the full board before we make a final decision on that, because neither one of those has any direct relevance of running treated water that causes an urgency or an emergency decision to spend agency's money. That's all I'm saying. I don't care if it's $3,000 or $100,000. That's all I'm going to say. That's the only thing about everything else I have no problem.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Item number 8. Finance Committee, Director Donato, have a report.
The report, turned it over to Director Dyas to give the report because he was in attendance yesterday.
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee met yesterday, and among the many things we discussed was resolution number R 1911 participation and support of hazard mitigation program and pre-disaster mitigation program. And I will ask Dwayne to describe the significance of this item.
Sure, be happy to, Board Chairman, resourceful members of the board. The resolution that's before you is to support the hazardous mitigation program and pre-disaster mitigation program. And it's essentially what that is it allows the agency to, with the adoption of this resolution, allows the agency to apply for a grant, which is a total of $200,000. There is a 25% match, so it would cost the agency $50,000 if we get the 200. So in essence, the net is $150,000 the agency will receive from the grant. And what this does is by having a mitigation plan developed for Cal OES and FEMA, allows us to, just like we have with the Irwin process, we're able to identify needs that we have to mitigate future hazards, whether that be from fire, earthquake, drought, other measures. It allows us to apply for grant funding to mitigate those types of projects that would mitigate those types of funds. Those projects could include things like new recovery wells, it could be new generators, it could be pipeline extensions, it could be a variety of things that would mitigate these potential hazards. However, without the hazard mitigation plan in place, you're not able to apply for those FEMA and Cal OES funds. So this is the first step in being able to do this. The actual grant is being prepared by Townsend Associates on our behalf, and adoption of this resolution would give the authority for the agency to apply for those funds.
Well, I'll move on board 8A1.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8B, Adjudication WaterMaster Committee. Are you taking that?
Yes, I'm going to take this on, and actually I'm going to pass it on to Assistant General Manager Matt Knudson, who can provide a staff report on the WaterMaster meeting tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good evening. So included in your board packet is a copy of the agenda for tomorrow's WaterMaster meeting. And we could just spend a couple minutes and go through it real quick. And we did meet with the Adjudication WaterMaster Ad Hoc Committee of Directors Donato, Director Paris, and Director Barnes. So if you look at your agenda on page 37, under action items number 8, we have 8A, some small pumper qualifier and monitoring wells. This is kind of a routine business now for WaterMaster. We've got this process down pretty good, where admin staff is handling any new small pumper qualifying forms for wells, as well as any monitoring wells. So there's a couple being qualified, or recommended to be qualified tomorrow. Item 8B, we had in the board packet, there were 2 new points of extraction wells from LA County Waterworks. I learned today that those applications were reviewed by the advisory committee last week, and the advisory committee had some requested additional information. So the WaterMaster engineer is going to actually pull those 2 applications tomorrow for new points of extraction for LA County Waterworks and table those for the next meeting. There needs to be some additional analysis done on those applications. And then item 8C, there is a recommended transfer, about 400 acre-feet between a party exhibit 4 holder, water rights holder, and another party. So that's being recommended tomorrow. We'll also have under 8D and E setting the replacement water assessments. If you recall, This went through the Antelope Valley Statewide Contractors Association, and then this board also approved that study. And tomorrow, the WaterMaster board will consider setting the 2019 replacement water assessments for the adjudicated basin. It'll also cover not only areas within AVEK's service area, but also Palmdale Water District and Little Rock Creek Irrigation District boundary. One good thing with this methodology is we're all three adopting the same rate for consistency, and everybody's bought into the methodology that we use to calculate that fee. Item 8F, storage and recovery agreement. So previously, the WaterMaster Board approved the rules and regulations regarding storage agreements. But this item is dealing with the agreement form and the annual reporting form when it comes to water storage agreements. And Mr. Chisholm and I discussed this with the committee last week, and our recommendation to the WaterMaster Board tomorrow from AVEK's point of view is that we're okay with the resolution, but the agreement that they have in their packet should be used as a sample only. We don't want to be bound by the conditions outlined in the agreement that's in the WaterMaster Board packet, because we feel that, looking at it from AVEK's point of view, each water bank is different. You know, has different criteria, different purposes, different needs. So we want that form to just be used as a sample. And then we want the opportunity to modify that form for each individual water bank project. So that's our recommendation tomorrow to our representative, representing AVEK. And then Mr. Parton, WaterMaster attorney, is going to talk about 8G and 8H, which has to do with small pumper water rights and small pumper class limits. So 8G is to clarify what qualifies as a small pumper rate. And the example of this came up recently where there was a vacant property. It had a well drilled on it within the time frame to qualify as a small pumper, but it did not have a beneficial use that was proven on that property for that well. So one of the criteria in the judgment is that you have to prove not only that the well existed, but it had some beneficial use during the time frame, such as a single-family residence. So there's a memo that's being considered tomorrow to clarify those criteria.
What's your recommendation?
I think our recommendation is to accept and agree with Mr. Parton's findings.
You believe they're consistent with the judgment?
Yes. And then hopefully we'll get an update from the WaterMaster engineer on where she's at with the rules and regulations. To get a draft out, we've been at this now for 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, so it's time to get the draft rules and regulations out, circulated, and get individuals to comment on it. So, and then there'll be an update on where we're at with meter compliance, compliance with reporting records for 2018, and then under item number 11, Mr. Parton has a number of different situations that he's dealing with from a legal matter. One of the big ones is he generated a memo to the WaterMaster Board regarding the authority to waive assessments at the board level. And this came about because some parties were assessed replacement water assessment, and those parties are now asking for forgiveness and relief of paying those assessments. So Mr. Parton generated a memo kind of giving his conclusion and recommendation that the board does not have that authority to waive assessments.
What you're saying is that would have to go to homeowner, whoever decides.
Yeah, that's in the memo as well.
Absolutely.
The conclusion is that would have to go back to the judge. And that's all I have. I think we have good direction for tomorrow's meeting for our representative, Mr. Ferris. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, if you have carryover rights as an individual, is that then going to be considered as storage, or how's that going to work?
So in the rules and regulations, it states that carryover can be carried over for 10 years. After 10 years, then it converts to storage. and you have to enter into a storage agreement. So that storage agreement is different than the storage agreement that we're talking about here today.
Right.
This storage agreement that's on the agenda for tomorrow has to do with water banking, recharge.
Okay.
They haven't developed the agreement yet for the storage that you're asking about. When water is not pumped or produced, it carries over for 10 years. After 10 years, it goes into storage.
Okay. So if an individual has periodic years that they carry water over, how's that gonna work?
So that's all part of the WaterMaster engineer's water accounting.
Right.
So every year there's a table that's produced to show what each party has pumped and what amount is carried over to the following year.
Right. So, okay. So then that carryover year will just, if you pump it, then it comes off of your
Yeah.
carryover. If you don't pump it, it kicks over into the next year.
Continues to carry over.
And then it has to be a total of 10 years carried over water
Yeah.
to qualify for the storage?
And the way that the hierarchy of pumping, you know, assuming somebody's continuously pumping water, you know, you're gonna pump your carryover first.
Right.
So that 10 years starts, you know, moving out. It's gonna be tough to get to that 10 years,
Right.
unless you're just not pumping water.
And what's going to be the cost to carry over water to store that?
I don't believe there is any cost.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. Matt, could you explain item 11G, update on Roseman CSD Desert Breeze?
So this is Desert Breeze, I want to say is a mobile home park that is being consolidated with Roseman Community Services District. So there's some discussions on transferring production rights from Desert Breeze to our CSD.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. Was there a individual that wanted their assessments waived, that the property is being talked about? Do you know anything about that? In escrow or anything like that?
Yeah, one of the parties that has been assessed replacement water assessments
Okay.
is requesting relief from those assessments. And it's my understanding that that property owner has the property up for sale. Or we've notified the WaterMaster engineer and attorney about that.
Okay. So they're gonna hear that tomorrow?
Craig may get on that tomorrow. I've asked him to brief the board on that.
Okay.
I have a question. But going back to the, underneath the transfers, item D. So this, when we discussed this yesterday, said that everybody will be in line using the same water rates for the replenishment, right?
For replacement water. Yep. All three agencies, Mill, AVEK, and
I think it's a good idea.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much for your report. Item number 9, General Manager's report.
Yes. You see, I'll keep it. Get it up, queue it up. There you go. Thanks. This is the General Manager's report for April 23rd. Northern California, the weather. You can see on the right-hand side is the watershed for the State Water Project in Lake Oroville. You can see that it's clear and warm until Thursday. Slight chance of rain over the weekend. Snow levels are above 10,000 feet at the present time, but it's fallen down 5,000 feet during the middle of next week as a new little cold storm is coming through. So we may not be completely through with the snow. Here's this particular graph is very telling. You can see that the little blue bars are average for precipitation within the Northern Sierra 8 Station area. You can see from here that we've had a very good January, extraordinary February,
above average March, and we're at average already for April, so things are looking very good as far as that, as far as precipitation goes, and so we're looking pretty great. The blue graph here is, you can see these are the various water years as they appear, and then this year, this line here represents average. So you can see we're well above average at 133%. This is the snow content percentage. Once again, you can see we're way up north of average here in all three locations. This is the northern Sierra, kind of the central Sierra, the southern Sierra. So we have a lot of, still have a lot of snowpack. We're at 159% of average. As you would suspect, there'll be a time probably in the next few years when we'll look at this graph and remember when all the reservoirs are full and the conditions in the state has significant amounts of water. Here's Lake Oroville and San Luis Reservoir. If you look at the reservoir level in Oroville, you can see it's that snow is beginning to come into the reservoir. It's well above the well above average for this point, 110%. And you can see that we're 91% of the total capacity in San Luis Reservoir, 102% of historical average. So we're doing very well as far as reservoir capacity goes. As far as the treatment flows for conventional treatment, you can see we're at 20 million gallons a day at the Quartz Hill treatment plant, 3.3 at Roseman, 1.2 on the east side, and our Acton Palmdale interconnect is at 2.5 million gallons a day. So we've got a total of 27 million gallons a day, whereas last year we were closer to 21 million gallons a day. As far as geopurification, you can see that we're at west side 2.8 million gallons a day. We did run the bench ranch to test that out, about 1 million gallons a day going in out of there. So we're a little bit shy. We're recharging 151 acre feet per day out of the west side water bank. So we're taking advantage of this heavy year to put some more water in our groundwater bank. This is also this is a graph that shows our customer request versus actual. You can see that here's what this light bar here shows what was requested by our customers, and this is the actual deliveries. You can see what happens when you have a very wet winter. You know, our actual deliveries are a lot less. We'll be next month, now that we've got about 3 months worth of data, we'll put together some a little bit of analysis for you to provide some more detail in this particular graph. Also wanted to talk a little bit here about water quality, and as you know, we have 2 different types of treatment for that we utilize in order to obtain our water quality. The blue bars. Blue bars here are the geopurification aspect. That's the water that we recovered from the groundwater banks. And you can see that it has 89 to 99% removal. So it's very, very effective at removing total TOC, or total organic carbon. These are the precursors for trihalomethane formation. And then our raw water TOC coming out of our treatment plants takes about 47% out. So you can see that there's a removal process for each process And the key to maintaining the water quality health is to balance the two removal processes, both from a treatment aspect and the groundwater purification aspect, so that the distribution system has a very low TOC component in it. And we're tracking these as we move forward to give us the very best quality that we can achieve.
Thank you for adding this slide. My compliments to staff for putting it together so quickly.
And the result of that is here's the THM compliance. Here's our internal goal. You can see by the red line, and then there's the regulatory goal. You can see that, especially during the winter time, you can see that there's temperature is a significant influence. You can see that it kind of is low. This is the summer period last year, and it tends to want to increase here. So by using the geopurification, especially during the summer period, we're able to remove a lot of the total organic carbon that's in the water, so in the TOC, and remove it out so that we can have a better water quality and keep ourselves well below our internal goal. So that's how the two numbers manage, and what staff does is tries to balance those to make sure that we're always in this level in here as low as possible. Regulatory updates. Want to let you know about an upcoming public meeting on the long-term operations of the State Water Project. DWR has issued a notice that will seek an update of the environmental permit for long-term operations of the State Water Project through a partnership with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. DWR will hold two scoping meetings. The first meeting May 6th, the second meeting, which is in Los Angeles, and May 13th between 9:30 and 11 a.m. in Sacramento. So let you know about that. Also, a couple legislative updates. We've been watching, there's continued debate about the governor's budget trailer bill, or the water tax. It's continuing to have significant debate in Sacramento. AB 441 has to do with underground storage, of particular interest to the agency. This bill provides that certain uses that is stored underground, water that is stored underground, to produce a beneficial use, and so it has to be used for which it was stored. A lot of the critics are opposed to this bill because of mainly Northern California, where they have a lot of water that they can siphon off and say it's going into the groundwater basin, which really isn't, and consequently they can remove pump a lot more water out of the groundwater basins, primarily in Northern California. And this has a lot to do with the Yuba County and some of those northern counties, and from the environmental agencies would rather see that water go through the Sacramento River, provide the fish habitat, rather than go through this where someone would take off water for 10 years and then say, well, now I'm going to utilize it, and there really is no, there's a hard way to demonstrate that the water basins actually improve because there's so much water, and the water is so plentiful in the northern part of the state. So it's so there's more to follow on this. And the AB 1196 is still in debate, and that has to do with the Delta Sheriffship Council moving it to 13 members, with 6 members being part of the Delta counties. So, as far as events and schedules, we have a WaterMaster meeting tomorrow, April 24th. At 10 a.m. The much discussed bus trip is May 6th and 7th, And the Aqua Spring Conference is the 7th through the 10th. I will be in Sacramento tomorrow, be back on Thursday. I'll flying up just for the day. I'll be back to work Thursday morning, be here on Friday also. And then I'll be back to Sacramento on Wednesday for a conference with DWR on Thursday and Friday. Bit of a sun. So that concludes my GM report. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions? Nice presentation. Item number 10, committee meeting recap report.
We have none.
Okay. Item 11, director's reports. Does anybody have anything to report?
I'll give a copy to Holly to put on the agenda for board approval. They're doing a major conference seminar on sustainable groundwater planning in California, and they're going to have every attorney in the world going to be up there. It's going to be, they're going to have the California Department of Resources going to be giving a presentation, and then the California Water Resource Control Board is also going to be giving a presentation that is met. So it should be an opportunity for the directors to, because like you were just saying earlier, it looks like somebody's really going after the groundwater.
Right.
When is the
The
conference?
dates are going to be July 25th and 26th. I'll give Holly this, you can send a copy of this to everybody.
Anything else?
Kids Ag Day was a great success, had 900.
Okay. Item number 12, attorney report.
Nothing for open session.
Okay. 13, old business. Okay, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Move we adjourn into closed session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll go into closed session.